Hey everybody, it's Mr. Clark and Mr. Nelson here with your back to school video. We're excited. Can't believe it's been 5 months since we've had kids back in our classrooms, and we're excited to have kids and teachers and staff back in our buildings again and get this new school year underway. Obviously it's going to look a little bit different than it has in the past, so we wanted to touch base on a few things. First of all, you're going to get a packet like this in the mail, hopefully today sometime or tomorrow. And so this will kind of go through our reentry plan, but we wanted to highlight a few things today. First of all, we want everybody to know that we love our students and believe that children need school. They need to be in the building. They need to have a safe, structured environment. And there are things that we can't recreate via distance that happen in the classroom. Kids not only need math, reading, writing, science, social studies, but they also need to learn the social skills and how to interact with others, and they need that interaction with their classmates and their peers. So we're excited to get things rolling again. Probably the most important thing that we can't stress enough is that we need students and parents to make sure that they screen for symptoms at home. And if you're sick, you need to stay home until you're feeling better. Don't come to school with a fever. Don't come to school sick. Make sure that you do this at home, and that's kind of what we're relying on, at least to start the year, is that people will do this at home before they ever get on a bus or ever come to school. We are hoping to keep our doors open as much as possible. We know how important it is to keep kids in the classroom with their teachers, and so we're going to do everything we can to make sure that that happens. A couple things that Mr. Nelson is going to go over, a couple things that we're going to do to make sure that our environments are safe.
Well, the first thing we want to do is keep your student as safe as we can, healthy and safe and happy. With that being said, we're going to do our very best to mitigate and control social distancing and the amount of movements that will be in the hallways and also in the lunchroom. With that being said, there are various sanitation stations that have been set up throughout both schools and in the gym, in the lunchroom, and all the classrooms, the hallways, bathrooms, basically where most of the foot traffic will come and go. We also want to consider having students do their very best to practice social distancing when they can. Classroom arrangements will be a little different this year, where students will probably be used to sitting to the same person so we can control contact. On top of all that, we also want to consider it is our very, very best opportunity is to give your student the best learning chances they can. So with a digital curriculum, we will do our extreme best to make sure that your student does not miss out on any of the necessary requirements they will need when they are home sick because of circumstances out of their control. As we've mentioned before, we really, really hope that we control the spread of this COVID-19. For that to happen, we have to be very conscious of our personal health. We want to make sure that you are healthy when you are in school or you're at practice, but with that, we need to make sure that you understand the difference that I'm sick and I need to stay home.
So what are some things you can do as a family? First of all, make sure you check for symptoms. Do they have a fever, sore throat, those types of things, cough? Some of those things, try to keep your kid home. Make sure that you follow district reporting protocol. And we're going to go through that here in just a few minutes on how to report if your child is going to be gone. Make sure you have a family plan in place in case your student is sent home. Maybe they have symptoms throughout the day and they're isolated at school and we have to send them home. Make sure you have a plan if that happens. Also, make sure you have a plan in case we have to close school for a 14-day period. We hope we don't have to, but that's part of this plan is if we get to a certain level, we may have to shut the school down. Maybe not all schools, but some schools. Maybe the elementary, maybe just the high school. Maybe we'll be able to keep some of the colony schools open. I don't know, but that'll be decisions made at that time period. Make sure that you're prepared to adapt to change. A lot has changed over the last 5 months. Every week we get new information, and so things may have to adjust and we may have to adapt as things come up throughout the year. So be ready for that. And make sure that you understand we are here to help you with your child's educational needs. All you have to do is contact us.
With that being said, we really hope that the parents will take ownership and contact either Mandy at the high school or Trista over at the elementary and let us know that your student will not be in school. And just a little follow-up of how they are doing if they are out of school. We appreciate that as we want to have what's best for your child is their health. If a student has a doctor's appointment, a family situation, We want to know versus my child is sick. So we can be accountable for your child as well. And the students just need to monitor their health, and when they come back to school, they need to just let us know how they're feeling. Communication is very important during this stages of transition back into the classrooms. So the more we know, the better off we can be to help your kid get through this, as well as the families, because there will be some online learning for those students that may be home. And we encourage you, if you're sick, stay home.
So a couple things. What you're going to see in this plan is you're going to see 3 different tiers. We're basically going with school colors. So our new normal is going to be the white tier. And in that tier, you're going to see a lot of it's hygiene, self-screening. We will screen for symptoms if we see them. We will take temperatures at that time. We won't have drinking fountains available anymore. We will have bottle filler stations available. Students have to bring their own bottle to school, though. We will have sanitation stations. We'll disinfect the schools daily. Some areas will disinfect more than once. It may be in between students. One thing that's changing that's going to be new this year will be that access to the buildings is going to be limited, very limited. Basically only to the office area right now, which means that if you're dropping your student off or if you're going to pick them up from school, the furthest you're going to go is the vestibule. You're not going to be able to go down to the classroom, go into the classroom. We're going to limit visitors and parents to those areas. There's a lot of things that we'll do different in lunch. You know, there's no self-service, no community ketchup bottle, no salad bar anymore right now until we know, get different guidance. Transportation, I believe we talked to most people with transportation, is that if you want transportation, that's great. There's a consent form that you'll have to sign and return on the first day of school. And that there may be times where we require masks on buses. Right now we won't. As long as we don't have any cases in the community, we'll run in the white and there won't be any face coverings required. As we move up, you're going to see different tiers. The blue tier is when we have minimum to moderate number of active cases in our communities. We're going to start clamping things down. Face coverings might be required in certain situations. Maybe if it's close contact, we can't social distance. Maybe on buses. We may have some other things that you'll look at. Red is when we have an active case with exposure in the school. That's where we're going to shut like a snow day to work with Department of Health on determining the level of exposure, how many buildings it affects, and what our response will be to that. And we'll get that information out to you as soon as possible. So Mr. Nelson, what's it going to look like for extracurricular sports activities?
Well, as we go right now, the plan is to start athletics on time. The high school football season will start on the 6th. The volleyball and cross country will start on the 13th. The plan is that every single coach will monitor the health of your student athlete. But that will range anything from taking their temperature every single day to looking for signs and symptoms that are warning signs of possible COVID exposure. We will do our best on the volleyball court in the football field to monitor and social distance our students the very best that we can. With those things considered, though, we are going to do our extremely best to have a normal routine at practice and in school. These are just minor little glitches that we have to take care of, but it's called responsibility. The sports season will progress until there is an exposure within a community that we may have to play or our own school district itself. When those things happen, obviously parents will be informed as well as various schools. Again, the whole thing is about communication.
What about coming to games? We got that first football game the week after school, that Friday of school starting. What's it going to look like for people that want to come and watch the football game or a volleyball game?
Well, we want you to come. We don't want to scare anyone away. So we encourage you to come, but we also ask you to be considerate of the people around you. Obviously, in a football field, you can space yourself out fairly good. But in Hitchcock and Tulare, when there's a volleyball game, we may need to practice social distancing if we can. But we do encourage you to come to every game and support our student athletes. They're excited to be back in school, and they're excited to have a sense of normalcy in their sports season. So we welcome you and encourage you to come to every event you can. And if changes need to be made after we get information, those will be communicated.
The one thing we have to remember, though, is that not everywhere we go will have the same feelings about spectators. And so every school district is going to handle it differently dependent on the situation in their community. And so we will try to keep a list updated on our website and that information out to everybody about the schools we're playing that week and what their spectator rules are. Some schools may limit it to parents and families only. Some are going to hopefully be, hey, come and support them. Anybody's welcome. So we'll let you know that as soon as we have that information. So just to kind of go through a couple last things here. Make sure you look through this, read through this. There's a lot of information in here. We didn't go through everything. We don't have time for that. But there's a lot of appendix documents in the back that explain a lot of the information that we get. And as we get new information, we'll release that out to you as soon as possible. One last thing, with everything going on, unfortunately, we will not have our back-to-school barbecue. So all the information that we will get to you will be sent either via mail or we'll send it home with your student on the first day of school. So those would be things like our student handbooks, the lunch apps, and some of those other things will be sent home this week with this packet as well. So be looking for those. If you have questions, make sure you call Mr. Nelson or myself. We're working full days in the office, basically 8 to 4 every day. So if you have questions, give us a call. Thanks for your time. We look forward to seeing everybody here in a couple weeks.